This is George F551, and we're going to do a history bit on schoolhouse number 1, Leominster's very first schoolhouse. It was built here on the corner of School Street and West Street, either on this corner or this corner, it's unknown, in the late 1770s or so. At some point, the building was moved right around where this Victorian is now standing. And then in the late 1800s, the schoolhouse burnt down, and in their place they put this new school building in. However, this was not called schoolhouse number 1. It's under its name Field School, which currently is the home of Leominster Historical Society. It was at some point, they say, a 2-room schoolhouse, although architecture says otherwise. And the fancy overhang was not original to the building. In fact, it was a simple shed-style roof with very simple columns. There's nothing fancy about it. And it was a grade school till at least the mid to late 1950s, because my father went here. I think they only had a couple grades. So we're going to take a look at some of the classrooms. As you can see, they've done this up fairly well. I'm going to see if we can see anything. I'm not sure if we're getting anything good or not. It's really hard to tell. Actually, here's the entry. Sorry if it's shaking a little bit. I am using my shaky hand to hold the camera and my good hand to block the light. There's a very early Otis man-powered elevator. And this building's under renovation. There's one of the original blackboards. And I don't think we can see into this classroom, except for what we just did. There's some baffle there. Oh, here we go. Now, I'm holding this at eye height. As you can see, it's above my view, so I don't know what you're getting. There we go. And one more window. Apparently this was where the boiler must have been. They made them out of brick back in the day. Old school furnace. There's nothing really to see here. There's a modern day water heater right there, water tank. And it's just more storage. I think we can see some of the old architecture though. And it's not really a view there. And here's a fire escape. And so, the Field Street School 1870, not 1780 as I was going to say. Well, while we're on the subject of old schools, there's the former May 8 Gallagher Junior High, built in 1928. It served as grades 7, 8, and 9, and when I went there, 7 and 8. That was the auditorium. Balconies were there on the 3rd floor, projection room in the middle. It's now 2 courtrooms. The 1st floor is all administrative offices. That was a bleacher stadium seating area for the gym, which was in the basement, and the locker rooms. That would be the girls' locker room. Side opposite was the boys, and the gym was there. The way it was constructed, the gym was referred to as the swimming pool, or later on in my generation, some known it as the pit. But before this school was here, in 1830s or so, Field High School, Leominster's first high school, was built on this site. They had a little fun doing the Thanksgiving Day games against Fitchburg High School, because when you were rooting for FHS, which FHS were you rooting for? So I'm sure they were saying Fitchburg on one side and Field on the other. So, there's a little history lesson. Schoolhouse number 1, which ultimately was replaced with Field School. Gallagher, which replaced the old Field High School that stood on this site. And we'll end it with a view of Leominster in bushes. Have a good one.